Good deal.
Posture, bro.
Right. Hi, and welcome to Comic Talk. I'm Joshua.
And I'm Drew.
And this is our review of Copra. Copra? C-O-P-R-A, all caps.
Go!
Alright, so yeah, we're going to talk about, we're just going to talk about the first compendium, the first three, released on some weird small publisher. I don't remember who it was. It's Michelle Fife?
Michael Fifth.
Michael Fifey. I don't know. Do you want to try to give a little quick what it is kind of thing? I can kind of do it if you want.
It's kind of like small publisher Suicide Squad, I guess.
Right.
They have a ragtag gang of villains and
a job, like side job goes wrong and they're on the run from
they get blamed for
the
it
law or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's a good, like, it's Suicide Squad, Thunderbolts, but super indie look and feel. And I know that's such a bullshit like term to use, but can you think of a better term for it?
Different.
It's different, lo-fi. You know, it's sort of like in the music scene, like those bands that give out like their cassette tape. You know, it reminds me of that. It's like the zine of comic books, kind of. And man, I have a weird love-hate relationship with this so far. So, first of all, I keep seeing, the reason we did it is I keep seeing people recommend it online. And it just seems like the last few months it's starting to bubble up. Like I keep seeing it recommended and it's getting more and more like, I just see more and more references. And it might be that effect where like once you know about something, you notice it more. But I don't think it is. I think there's some sort of groundswell happening with it. So that's why we decided to hop on it. But yeah, I have kind of a love-hate relationship with it so far because in some aspects, I think it's really sharp and interesting. And in other aspects, I think it fails really badly.
Yeah. It honestly felt very like sophomoric to me most of the time. Like in every aspect. Like the art looks like a really good child's art.
Yeah, it looks like a high school kid's notebook. Yeah.
And the plot kind of feels like a kid's really good creative writing class submission.
Right. Well, there's a couple things that I really like. One of the things that I really like about it is that it doesn't talk down to the reader. It never goes out of its way to explain to you what's happening, or it doesn't go on these big long exposition quests where, you know, they have to find some way to describe why you're reading what you're reading. It just jumps in and goes for it, which I think in that aspect, a lot of the bigger publishers and larger stories could really learn something from this.
Yeah. On the other hand, I think it could probably learn something from the larger publishers in that it introduced so many characters so quick.
So fast.
Like, if you're trying to establish a team of, like, all new people, especially all new people, don't fucking introduce anybody else for, like, a good long while.
Right.
I mean, you don't need to even delve into, like, the main plot line to the extent that they did. You know, you can just go have them kick the ass of some randos, you know, without even introducing, like, the main villain. And, yeah.
Right. It jumps immediately into a really complicated, overly complex sort of plot just right out the box. And because it doesn't talk down to the reader, it becomes really difficult to stay interested, I felt. Like it just kept throwing more characters at you and not really sticking with them long enough to get into them. The first thing that hooked me a little bit is the Doctor Strange-ish kind of guy with his assistant.
Right.
They seem interesting, and I really liked that section of it where it is more street level Doctor Strange. It was a weird mixture. I like a lot of the characters just in general, but especially just the first compendium, if you're just reading it to decide if you want to keep reading, for me it was like I don't know, like when I'm done, I don't know enough about any of these characters and the plot and the storyline to really decide if I even want to keep going.
Yeah, that was really my big problem with it, is that I don't feel like I was ever given time to give a shit about like anything in particular. Right. I mean, there were a lot of creative things that it did. Some of just little tricks. like having a word bubble be like half out of the frame and then somebody says what, you know, because they didn't hear it. Like that was a nice little visual trick. And the artwork is interesting. A lot of times with the fight scenes especially, I find it kind of confusing as to like what exactly is going on. Like the perspective isn't necessarily the best. But yeah, it just seemed like somebody was really excited with their great idea and they forgot that nobody knows anything about it.
Right. It could really do with some like developmental work, I think, you know. And I agree with the art that I actually got a real good like Doom Patrol kind of vibe with it as well, where it's pretty psychedelic, but it's psychedelic in kind of a high school kid sort of way where, you know, for not quite known reasons, someone will just be drawn like a Tool album cover just out of nowhere, you know, without any real explanation of why or what the point is of it in the panel. So a lot of it doesn't, like good art that's psychedelic usually is that way to strengthen the story, but I felt like
illustrate a point.
I felt like
some sort.
Yeah, a lot of the choices here was just like he was just trying to do something interesting without
just cause.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just I want to jazz this page up. So it kind of falls flat, but it is kind of fun to look at in the same way that it's fun to look at any, you know, weird high school kids' work, but I don't know if it ever really goes above that level.
I mean, I have to at least somewhat believe that it's just a couple people getting extra prolific with their recommendation of it that are like super into it.
It could be.
I don't see this. Like, I wouldn't recommend this to young readers. It would be a rare case that I would recommend this to somebody like our age. And people older than that, like, hell the fuck no.
Right.
So, I mean, the demographic for this is like so tiny.
It seems like, honestly, I would say the demographic for this is the actual demographic that DC thinks they're making comics for. Like the 14 to 19-year-old boy that's, you know.
It's kind of convoluted. I don't know if they would.
Yeah, but it's convoluted in that reading the Satanic Bible convoluted kind of way. It's convoluted, so that makes it smart.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's really where this push is coming from, is like the high school age kids who say, oh, this looks like something I could do, in the same way that like indie rock is popular in high school because it feels attainable, but it's not terrible either. It's pretty good but attainable at the same time.
Or like that trap shit. Anybody can do that shit.
Right.
You know? But you have to practice it, but anybody can do it.
Right. It takes a little bit of work, but just enough work that if you want to do it, you can.
Yeah.
And I think this is sort of the same thing, and it's probably that sort of audience that's digging it.
I could see that.
I do find it interesting just as maybe a bit of a palate cleanser, though. Like, I didn't hate reading it. You know, I didn't go like, man, I really don't want to have to finish this.
I did.
Really?
Yeah, I got like halfway through and I was like, I tried really hard to give a shit at several points and just got nothing repeatedly. So I was like, fuck it, we'll just get through it. We have to do it for this. That's the only reason I finished it.
Right. But yeah, I think it's kind of fun to read just because it feels like a very early attempt at writing something interesting. And I could see these same guys, if they're as young as I assume they are, they've got to be early in their career, right?
I hope so. I
could see this guy doing cool stuff if he keeps working on it. You know, 5 years down the line, I could see this person being a name to keep an eye on. And also, I think they're up to somewhere in the upper teens now. So after a couple years, who knows? It might be a lot cooler, but starting at the front is a little bit tough.
Yeah, I could see this maybe being like 17-year-old Alan Moore's attempt at.
Right.
I could see that.
Yeah. It's got some stuff going on, but it's not there yet.
Yeah. And I hope guy isn't like close to 30 and wrote this, because then he should find another thing to do.
Yeah, if this is like a real adult, you give it up. It's not
straight up.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
This is in that range of good enough for somebody young to go like, hey, that's pretty good, but bad enough that if you've been doing it for more than a couple years of drawing, especially with the art, like I could do this book now and I'm not very good at all. Like I could draw this book, no problem, just on the side for fun, you know? So if it's anything more than that, that's a problem.
All right. Well, Copra, Michael Fiff.
Yeah.
Michelle Fife.
Michelle. Yeah. Maybe
She's
that's
more
a pseudonym.
Michelle Fife than he is.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, I don't think you should read it, probably.
No.
It's not that great. Don't believe whatever hype you're seeing. That's all. Twitter and Facebook and Tumblr. We haven't put anything on the Tumblr in months.
I don't think I've ever been to our Tumblr.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just kind of me trying to keep it going. I don't know. Should we put something on the Tumblr? Does anybody have any ideas what we could use that for? Seems like a good place to have stuff because you can just blog whatever you want there. Would anybody read blogs? Like if we wrote stuff about comics that was outside of this, like I could go in there and throw thoughts down. What about you? Anything like that?
I think we should do an Instagram instead.
Instagram? Would you go?
Be better.
What should we do? Instagram, Tumblr. What? Give us some ideas for other things that you would follow. If there's anything else that would be cool, you know. Are we missing anything?
What to do? Snapchat. But
is that a thing that you can?
It's too momentary.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that a thing we could do that would be a thing?
We'd have to be regular about it. I don't know if I want to be that regular about it.
What about Vine? I was thinking Vine, like a little 8-second videos.
I don't know if anybody Vines anymore.
Really? Is that already an over thing?
Well, because you can put video on Instagram and Snapchat now, so.
Gotcha. I thought like the Vine thing was like Twitter, where the thing that makes it interesting is that you can only do 8 seconds, right? So it's like Twitter's 140 characters. That made it kind of different. Also, Pinterest. We could do Pinterest. We could put our favorite.
I'm not going to be a man with a Pinterest.
That was going to be the joke. Like we could, you know, put up quilts with superheroes on them and
this needlepoint Spider-Man that I did.
And embroidery and things like that. Yeah, so we could
find some faux kryptonite and wrap a piece of rope around it and sell it as a necklace for like $75.
Right.
We should get what is that shit that
Etsy?
We should get an Etsy.
Start an Etsy. Yeah, people make a lot of money with Etsy. And
they do.
It's all garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we should do a Kickstarter
for an Etsy.
We could kickstart an Etsy page. All right, let's go. Off. Done. Bye.